Yep.
Good evening and welcome to the Ferguson City Council meeting. Meeting is now called to order. Let us stand for a moment of silent prayer. Okay, the pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and
justice for all. Okay. Clerk Pittman, we are so excited you are back, and we love everything Chris did in your place. Right now, we're excited you are back. So could you please call the roll?
I will. Thank you. Thank you. Councilwoman Noah.
Here.
Councilwoman Griffin is absent. Councilwoman Burrow.
Here.
Okay. Councilwoman Robinette.
Here.
Mayor Jones.
Here.
Councilwoman Lipka.
Here.
Councilwoman Nelson.
Here.
Okay, our quorum is present. Right now, we're going to our public comments. Anyone that wishes to speak tonight, the council asks that you submit your comments prior to the meeting by 5 p.m. on Monday. So at this time, Clerk Pittman, do we have anyone who have submitted comments for tonight?
Yes, we have 4 speakers tonight, and the first one is Deborah Moore. Ms. Deborah Moore. Again, I'm getting some feedback. If I can have everyone to mute their screen if they're not, their computer if they're not talking. Okay, so it looks like I do not have Deborah Moore. I'll come back to her at the end. The next person is Jayshell Jordan.
Hey, there he is.
Can you guys hear us? Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. So I have my daughter Justice here. Nope, you need that. They can see you on that one. Justice was named Miss Missouri Princess CoverGirl. She competes in the National American Miss Pageantry Forum, and she was named Miss Missouri Princess CoverGirl, so she will represent the state of Missouri in the national pageant, which is in November. And Justice can introduce herself.
Justice. I am 7 years old, and I go to Holman Elementary, and my title is Missouri Princess CoverGirl.
Thank you, Justice. Ms. Jordan, we love you and appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next person I have is Erica Brooks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica M. Brooks. For all of you that don't know me, I was a candidate in the April 2021 race as City Council for Ward 2, and also the community activist in Ferguson to save bus route number 79, which was slated to be cut in 2019. I'm saying that because my comments are concerning the renovation of Dade from Airport Road all the way to Suburban. And as I was doing my homework, I found today that there was an application for a grant that is supposed to take place. And Matt, the former public works director, he was a person that applied for that grant. And so I'm happy to see that it's supposed to be executed, but they said also during the month of this year up until the October, we're supposed to have public hearings, and I'm not particularly sure if the council is aware that we're supposed to have public hearings so that our voice can be heard about the restructuring or renovation of Dade. And so I also want to mention too that my street that I live on, Mueller, it needs to be, you know, I know you all were talking about the community development block grant as far as the streets that need to be done. Well, I am advocating not only for Dade, but also the street that I live on, which is Mueller. And I have various photos to show the different holes that we have on our street. We have all kind of just like, you know, the holes that the different MSD people came down and put in the street in order to do their cleaning in the sewers. So these are just a few of them, but I can't show you all. I have 33 pictures. So I just really want the city to look at Mueller Avenue to be able to consider it as a block to be renovated, because since I've been there for 11 years, it's never been resurfaced, anything done to it. We come down there, we tear up our cars, you know, and it's just shaking infrastructure. So when buses come down, it shakes the whole street. So I would really appreciate if our city council members for Ward 2 would advocate for us and be able to put Mueller on the block improvement grant, as well as Dade, you know, which they already have, you know. But I just want to also tell Don Boyce and his team, thank you for starting the patchwork on that street, but we need to have a restructured or resurfaced street, not just patchwork, because that's the main thoroughfare for our bus service that my son and I retained in in August of 2019. So please consider those two streets. And I want to also welcome our new city manager to Ferguson, and thank you very much for this time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Brooks. The next I have Alan and Becky Miller.
Okay, good evening, council.
Good evening.
Yeah, on behalf of Proud, people reaching out for unity and diversity, I regret announcing that we are postponing Thursday's open house. We will be carefully watching Chief Hampton's directives concerning COVID protocols to see when we can reschedule our event. I would like to extend Proud's appreciation to Tony Lanero and the Savoy Banquet Center for being so accommodating as COVID responses cause our schedules to change with little warning. Since we will not be celebrating our guests of honor with an open house this week, Proud would like to use this opportunity to provide some brief words of appreciation and welcome. First, Proud would like to express our appreciation to Fire Chief Hampton for his special services during the past year and a half. Throughout this time, Chief Hampton has been the source for the most up-to-date information on COVID and has provided appropriate and necessary direction for dealing with the pandemic. In addition to this function and his regular duties as fire chief, he took on the added responsibility of guiding us as our temporary replacement interim city manager. We thank him for his dedication and hard work. Next, we sincerely congratulate Police Chief McCall on his promotion. He has stayed dedicated to our community through many changes and challenges. He is a true servant leader. With his knowledge, appreciation, and acceptance of the consent decree and the spirit of community policing, we feel we now have the best opportunity to achieve and maintain compliance with the consent decree. We thank him for his long service and wish him great success. Lastly, we warmly welcome Mr. Osterberg, our new city manager. As an organization that is working for greater equity and understanding, Proud felt that his comments during his town hall interviews were very encouraging. His promises of transparency, accessibility, inclusiveness, collaboration, equity, and moral values provide a lot of hope for leading our community forward. We wish him great success and a long tenure with our community. On a different and completely personal note, I am pleased with the new format of the city's website. The site's new organization is much clearer and makes more information available, but please keep expanding, updating, and improving the website. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to Miss Deborah Moore. Okay, I don't think she's on the line, Mayor. She did submit to you guys some comments, so it's up to you all if you want those comments to be read or.
You can read them.
Okay.
She submitted them.
Okay, so it says Deborah Moore, Ferguson website, nice and user-friendly. Only one suggestion, remove the governor's personal page and give Ferguson residents direct link to mo.gov. Also, maybe a direct link to federal if possible. Andy Worms, my surprise, I made a decision to have my emission test at Andy Worm versus Diller this year. This place is amazing, clean, customer-oriented. Old school me will start directing my auto needs to Andy Worm. 40 years, North County, and never stopped in, 10 thumbs up. Now 2 years, 9 months, tree branches on Royce High Mount. Last storm, more branches in streets and sidewalks. Yes, neighbors and drivers moving branches to property. Hearsay owner, rent collector, who now resides in California, stated it is Ferguson's responsibility to remove branches. I can't believe that statement. Neighborhood continue to ask if Public Works driving through community with blinders. Pit bulls, neighborhood asking if ordinance still in force about dogs on leash, both travel late night and early morning, Kirk and Highmont. Mosquito spraying, street cleaning. Did Ferguson drop these services? I thought we purchased a new street sweeper a few years back. My spraying, bug zapper, candles only cover my yard. Republic Waste, before you renew contract, please have a serious conversation with Northland Hill community. Why driver will only pick up one side of street or not at all on trash day? People are worn out calling them. Last, Ferguson's public image. How can we change the negative public image about our beautiful city? We need Public Works help.
Thank you.
That's the last one today.
Last one.
Yep.
Thus, in the public comments, we ask that our staff will look into those comments. The public comment session is closed. Our manager's report. We would like to say welcome to Eric Osterberg, our new city manager. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce him to some and present to others, our new city manager. Eric?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I've been here for just about a week now. Our stuff finally arrived, so it's now the big process of unpacking. And with unpacking, learning a new community. I've been meeting very regularly with the staff and hope to meet the community as well. I apologize that we had to, just as Alan said, postpone that meet and greet. I was really looking forward to meeting everybody and being able to ask or answer all of your questions. So I hope that we'll be able to meet in person soon. Down the road, once it's safe to, I'd like to announce, you can look forward to me announcing office hours where the public can just come into my office and sit down with me. I'll have a couple hours a week where you can just come in and speak with me. So look forward to that. John's done a great job in the interim period. He will be leading a point with staff tonight. So now I'm just going to go and hand it over to him.
Thank you, Eric, sir. Mayor, council, always a pleasure, as you know. So the city manager report tonight, I'm going to have Frank McCall give an update on some of the recent homicides that we've had in our town. And then also Harry Dilworth is going to give an update on where we are with accreditation. And then I will do a COVID update. So we'll start off with Frank McCall. Frank.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council, and hello to everyone who's joining us this evening. I will not be before you long. First and foremost, we've had a very busy last few weeks here in the city of Ferguson. We've had a total of 4 incidents of homicide that we've confirmed as homicides. We have one unknown where an individual was located within our boundaries, but St. Louis County took that investigation. And we had another incident of a suspicious fire. That is still under investigation. We're still waiting on lab results. The one thing I can say about that is that we are familiar with any and all that might be associated with that incident. I will say on the 4 homicides that I just mentioned, with all of the suspects that have all been identified, warrants have been issued on all of the subjects. 3 of the suspects are in custody and 1 is still at large. We believe that individual is out of state. So we're hoping once we're continuing to get leads on that, and just like the one subject that we did travel out of state to go get, we're going to get this individual as well once we can verify exactly where they're located. I want to also take this moment to just to thank the officers, not just ours, but our air officers. Major Case Squad was activated on 2 occasions. We are members of that as well. And I've always said that your partnerships are essential to providing safe communities, because we all work together in this. And we're going to be helping them or any other community that's a member if they need us as well. But we've been busy. And if there's any kind of solitude or anything that we can pull out of this, we're bringing closure to these families. And that's what's most important to us at this time. Does anyone have any questions for me?
You
No.
can use your hand signal.
I just like to say good work. That's excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing I would ask though, is there some way that we can automize our press releases? Because we've gotten a lot of comments on the informality of our press releases. So I think maybe we might want to look into something that we can formalize and automatize, maybe a template of sort. I don't know.
So, Ms. Lipko, Councilwoman Lipko, we now have all press releases going through Dave Musgrave, and he has a template. It's been shared this week numerous times already.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
You guys are way ahead of the game. Thank you.
Frank, thank you. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Harry Dilworth. He's going to give us an update on CALIA and where we are with that. Harry?
Hey, good evening, everyone. As you know, we embarked upon our accreditation process approximately 2.5 years ago with CALIA. If you guys are not familiar, CALIA is the national accreditation for large and small agencies throughout the United States. This accreditation process started, I said, back in 2019. This is a 3-year accreditation process. There are 172 standards that we have to meet and show proof of compliance within the accreditation process. I am pleased to say we're coming close to our self-assessment. Our self-assessment to whereas we assess all our internal policies to make sure that they are in compliance with CALIA. Also to make sure they also fall within that same compliance with the consent decree. So working at 2 ends is a daunting task. One policy might not have the requirements of CALIA, and some of the policies do have the requirements of CALIA. So working hand in hand with the Department of Justice and with the consent decree coordinator, we've been able to accomplish that so far. So we will be coming close to our self-assessment, probably coming within the next few months, hopefully, pending that our upswing in crime doesn't continue. But we're coming close to the end of this accreditation process. So hopefully I can give you a hard date when we're going to do our self-assessment. And once we do that, we will have and the accreditation team will come down and we will be evaluated on our progress. When that happens, or when it does happen, an invitation will be sent out to the community members to whereas they can take part in our accreditation review process. There will be a session, whereas we will have a public hearing, whereas people can ask questions about how the accreditation works. So that hopefully will be taking place toward the end of our 3-year period. Our 3-year period ends in December. I've been talking close with our accreditation supervisor, and he's given me some pointers and tips on completing this process. So does anyone have any questions at this time?
Councilwoman Linda Lipka.
So I think Chief, you already answered. It is Chief, right? Chief Dilworth, your assistant chief, or correct? Am I
Yes,
right?
a captain, ma'am.
Captain, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll get you to a chief position someday. Okay, anyway. You answered most of my questions, but one of the things I wanted to ask, so you're looking at your self-assessment. When you said that we're in a 3-year process and it looks to you, our 3 years will be completed in December of 21, and then you also said our self-assessment would be in a couple of months. So if I put all that together, I'm assuming that the self-assessment, you're looking at somewhere in the range of October, November to be the self-assessment. And then and so that's a question. And then the other question is, when the accreditation team comes in, are we very clear on what it is they're looking for? Is there anything that we're still concerned about? I mean, if the accreditation team for some reason didn't give us approval, what would be the next step to get our approval? What would we need to do? Or do you know anything like that?
Okay, if we didn't get approval, we will have time to correct the deficiencies. I believe other agencies were deficient in a couple of areas, and we will have ample time to make those corrections. So
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes, so we will have a time period to recover and to be reassessed at a later date.
Because I would, from what you're saying, I find, and from the very beginning, when we talked about becoming a CALEA accredited police department, I've always been super excited about how it actually runs parallel with the consent decree, and in a lot of ways allows us to accomplish many things. But when some of the things you did mention, that there's some areas where they bump up to each other, I would think that that's probably, from the good work you guys usually do, that's probably the only areas that might be of concern, is where they bump up against each other instead of working in tandem.
Yes, our policies, our strengths that we've had will come up to, whereas our policies created by Department of Justice and the consent decree and the monitor team and the police department were falling short to a CALEA standards.
Really?
So yes, so we've had to just add to the policy, not take away from it. So that's always good when you adding to it, as far as on the reporting side. So yes, that's good. And as far as a timetable, I'm reluctant on putting timetables on a lot of things as far as this, because I don't like to back myself into a corner or give myself a hard deadline, because the operational tempo here in the department it's high at this time. And
Sure.
Every day is something new. And citizen calls up on the phone, we drop what we're doing, we answer the phone, we try and get to that, as opposed to reviewing a policy.
Not a problem. And I totally agree. And I totally understand. So thank you for that commitment. And thank you for really making it clear the priorities. This is a priority, but citizens come first and their calls come first. So I appreciate that. And that's what a great thing that we can do even more with the CALEA assessment and the CALEA accreditation. So I think that should be something very spectacular, and giving confidence to our citizens in your skills as a team. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else? Chief Hampton.
Yes, ma'am. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and do my COVID update, and then I will have Elliot go ahead and read something for the public. So last week, we've had, right now, they're not breaking it down just into Ferguson. So right now, it's all just broken down into zip codes. So we contain 2 zip codes, 63135 and 63136. In the 63135 area, we have 98 new cases. In the 63136, we have 192 new cases. Currently, St. Louis County is averaging about 286 new cases a day. And actually, this is down from yesterday and a week ago. Right now, we're at 286. The other day, I think we were at 310. But now that school's getting back in session, we are going to anticipate an uptick in COVID cases. We're starting to work with the school district, and we will be hopefully assisting with vaccines and also COVID testing. Yesterday, I was blessed enough to attend the NCI meeting with the mayors. We had the police chiefs, just some school representatives, school districts, reps, the fire chiefs from the area, and also representatives from the Department of Health and some of the local hospitals. And we're looking at ways to beef up, our goal to get out there and get more vaccines to the public, and especially in the North County area. So we're looking at ways to try to work with the school district or work with the city or work with the hospital in the city, trying to put all these pieces together so everybody now will have a way to get these vaccines. Even if the way is out there right now, we're going to make it even better for them here in the future, hopefully. We're working with the schools, we're hoping maybe to get the parent and the teacher, or the parent and the, I'm sorry, not teacher, but parent and the son or the daughter. So that's just another avenue we're trying to go down right now. We also, Ferguson with the fire department and the city of Ferguson through Athenia are going to be hosting a COVID test site this Friday at 800 Chambers. This will be Friday the 27th. And we've done this in the past at the same location. I talked to the gentleman that owns the old Christian care home. I think it's going to be Emerald Green, I believe it is. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I believe it is. And he is very happy that we're using the lot to service community. So we know with school starting this week, there may be some kids going home, going sick, or somebody else being sick at home. So hopefully this is another outlet that we can help our residents and any other residents that are listening, because the Department of Health, the hospitals, the urgent cares, the Walgreens, CVS, all those places, they are being, very taxed right now because everybody's getting the vaccine or getting the test and or getting vaccines. So other than that, right now I talked to Brian Holkamp over at Christian Hospital. He gave me some numbers for the area hospitals. Let me grab those real quick. So just like today, we had 79 new admissions to the hospitals. There's 566 people in the hospital with COVID right now. 21 were with COVID, and we had 3 deaths. This is down though compared to yesterday and the day before. We have a total of 5,233 beds right now with all the hospitals, the bigger hospitals right in the area. And we have 4,477 of the beds being used. That's not all with COVID, because we only have about 566 right now that are being used with COVID. The rest are just with normal, sickness and illnesses. Also, there is the FDA approval of the Pfizer vaccine. So if anybody was hesitant on getting the vaccine, this should help push you over the edge because it's approved through the FDA. Just remember that, you still can get COVID even though you're vaccinated. But the big thing about it is you're not potentially going to be hospitalized. And it is a short round of illness. So you're looking at 3 to 4 days, where without it, you are going to be a lot sicker and potentially in a hospital and on a vent. The booster vaccine, they're talking about the booster vaccine right now. It is not being rolled out. It should be rolled out sometime in the fall. That is only going to be for the immune compromised. So right now, once you reach your 8-month timeline from your second shot. So there's more directives down on that booster shot. Not everything's clear, but I do know that the immune compromised will be the first, and it will be sometime this fall. So that's pretty much it on the COVID update. But just to remind everybody, we need to make sure that we're washing our hands very often and keeping our distance, wearing our mask as often as we can. I see schools and other places are starting to mandate it with the mask wearing. And so that may be something that we may see in the future. So that's my COVID update. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take them. No one? Okay.
I just have one, Chief. You said, this is Councilwoman Nelson. You said on Friday the 27th, you didn't say what time. I didn't hear the time. I'm sorry.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 p.m.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Councilwoman Robinette.
So Chief Hampton, do you have any advice for like the boosters that are coming out? Are you getting any word for the flu shot and the booster, you know, like how those, is there a preference of getting one over the other or both at the same time? Or do you know the safety of it or what are you hearing?
So right now I'm not hearing anything on that, but you know, the one thing is with the flu and the COVID, where they're both mask each other in the symptoms. So you're really not going to know which one you're going to have, you know, if you do get COVID or the flu. So I'm sure that they are looking into this, and I know there's probably going to be information coming down as we get closer to the flu shot. And once I do find out, I will make sure that I send it along to council and we'll put it up on the pages. Okay. But that's a very great question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Chief Hampton. Right now we move to our
Elliot. Yes, ma'am.
Our special presentation, property restoration program.
Well, and thank you, Chief Hampton. Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to turn it over to Bailey Mitchell, our Community Development Coordinator. He's been taking point on this project. He's been doing a really good job, and he's got the presentation. So Bailey, if you can take it away.
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you, Mayor, City Council, and Chief Hampton. I want to just preface with to let everyone know that we met with the council last week and gave them a packet full of information with all the proposals for 10 properties that we will hopefully be moving forward with. A few developers, a few individuals who are looking to own and occupy houses that were previously on the post-third list, and they will be redeveloped and put back into productive use in the city. So with that in mind, I also want to just preface the council with any questions you may have. I don't know if I made this clear previously, but the developers do not have access to the inside of the interior of the houses right now. So their proposals that we received and sent to you are preliminary, and so once they get access to the house, we will be able to get more information on exact costs and other things like that. So just keep that in mind whenever you're asking your questions to the developers. I believe all of them are on the line. So I will turn it over to the council for any questions that you may have for the developers.
Let me raise my hand.
Councilwoman Lipka.
Yes, so are we Bailey, are we officially, or Elliot, are we officially in the public hearing portion now?
No, we in special presentation.
Okay, so are
There-
we, go ahead.
As I understand it, there is no public hearing for this process. It's just right now. So what we're trying to do right now is, since this is the first time we're doing it, we are asking the council to basically just ask any questions you have of the developers as we move forward. And then once we get to the redevelopment agreement, that will be at some point signed by the city manager, which the council has to authorize. So.
Okay, awesome. And I apologize. I'm trying to look at two different things with my glasses on and off. And so I misconstrued the public hearing section of the agenda. So my apologies.
No problem.
So I went through and tried to go through everything. Couple of questions that I think I want to really direct toward you, Bailey. And if you want to then direct it toward people that have made their applications, I think that's how I would like to handle this. But I know, like, when you're looking at Mr. Plummer's applications, they're very thorough and they have everything laid out. They have architects listed. They have all that good stuff listed. I'm a little concerned when I see a couple of the applications and it says architect, engineer, subcontractor, and it says to be determined. So Bailey, my question is, how can we go forward when we are not getting direct answers for those things? Because the intention of the application that we have all worked hard on, you especially, is to get those things in place prior. We need, as a city, to know that these contractors do have talked to an architect, have one on standby, have an engineer on standby, have a subcontractor on standby. And, a couple of them have themselves listed as general contractors. I have no problem with that. I've general contracted my own properties as well. But even that being said, I know who I'm going to choose from. I know who I'm going to use, even as a little old lay person. So that is a concern. So I've got a couple questions, but that's the first one I want to lay at your feet. How can we accept applications that say to be determined? And is that a concern that you feel, or is it just me?
Yeah, so with that in mind, I mean, I don't know exactly what application you're looking at, but all of the applications that I received should have reference to those individuals. If they don't, they submitted supplemental information that I believe I included in the packets as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers your question, but if it's a specific developer that you're looking at, maybe you can provide that way we can ask them directly.
Okay, so going through and making some quick notes, Oscar Wright has to be determined on, or question mark on architect, engineer, subcontractor. And that's regarding 728 Ruggles. So that's one that I'm concerned about. And then maybe I missed it, but he says he's going to be self-funded. Are you going to be self-funded by loan packages with banks? Or are you going to be self-funded with cash? And if that's been answered, please just reiterate it. If it hasn't been answered, can you please answer that now?
Good evening. Yes, my name is Oscar Wright, and I put in applications for 728 Ruggles. The funding would be my own funding from my own savings. I've been saving up for a home for a project similar to this one, and lo and behold, an opportunity presented itself that made the most sense.
So my question, sir, is I totally get it with where your funding's coming from, but if I can't seem to open two things on one device, but where you have architect, engineer, subcontractor, and you don't have anybody identified, my concern or my fear is when you get into that aspect of your development, and if those prices become something you weren't expecting, what is your backup policy? What is your backup plan? Or how can you create a budget when we haven't even identified your services that will be working alongside you?
Well, therein lies the problem, as this I've estimated about $12,400 for total project estimate. However, that is an estimate based upon inspection of the outside, as I have no right or ability to inspect the interior of the property. So I can't then go to an architect and say, I may or may not have a job for you, and I have no idea what it is. Could you provide me an estimate of something that, and in addition, even if I did have additional information, I would have to have a time frame for them that would have to be negotiated, especially during COVID. So I can't provide a specific contractor or firm that is going to do work that may not need to be done, that may greatly exceed, or it's a complete unknown on the inside. I've estimated based upon my experience with houses in a similar condition. I've, in addition to working on my own home, I did general contracting from 16 to 20 for my father's contracting firm. So I have some experience in estimating what could be wrong inside of a property that's been long abandoned. And I've outlined what I believe is most likely to be wrong in my estimated outline.
No, I can see your dilemma, and I appreciate your honesty in that answer, because that makes it much more clear for me and everybody who's listening. So I totally get that. Let me ask you this. You kind of got given yourself an estimate of $12,400 for the exterior from what you just said.
Well,
so what is your cap out amount of your investment on the interior that's going to be beneficial for your savings account and your ability to flip this?
So it's 12,400 is my current estimate for the total. I've estimated what's going to be wrong on the inside based on the outside, but my cap out, I don't have a firm cap out number. I do have additional funds to put towards the project if need be. Things that might be wrong in addition to what I've listed could be, say, if the pipes have been stolen or otherwise damaged, then additional plumbing work could be needed. That'd be 500 to 3,000. So I have probably an additional 8 to 10,000 that I could dedicate towards the project. Also, in my case, I am an owner occupant, so I would be living in the property. I, at this time, have no intention of buying and flipping the property.
That is excellent to know. I did not see that anywhere on the paperwork. So thank you for sharing that owner occupant aspect, because that makes a lot of sense. And I will tell you, from a person who's already had all of her copper pipes stolen, it's about 800 to 1,200 to replace. That's where I've been. So yeah, and that's if you catch it before it floods the whole house. So thank you for your conversation with me. The other question I have, Bailey, is regarding Castro, 7470 Castro. I feel very concerned about this particular property, as do many people in Ferguson. And, you know, God love the person that wants to bite this big elephant in the butt and try to take it on. But I feel that the application is nowhere near complete enough to put everybody at ease on that particular property. So I have real concerns about the work to be done, the way it's been presented as to how it's going to be done, how long it's going to be done, how long it's going to take, and that kind of thing. And I actually just have real concerns that we even offered this up. I think from the pictures we've seen of that property, it's beyond. So I'm going to leave it at that. If the person who's wants to do Castro is on the line, I would love to hear what your thoughts are and your inspiration is, aspirations.
Yeah, thank you, Councilwoman Lupka. I will kind of answer a little bit and then hand it over to Mr. Christador, but he did send over a little bit more information this morning as well regarding the property. I believe I included his additional information as well in the packet that the council has, but I will let him speak on that, and I will send over the information I received from him this morning as well.
Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Robert Christador. Let me turn my video on. Can everybody hear me okay? I am on a limited bandwidth situation.
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. So the reason that I was interested in this property, and let me correct the address, the address 7470 is a property I already own, have rehabbed, and have a Section 8 tenant in it. I own another property in the area in Hazelwood, and I'm particularly interested in where the Castro property was and inquired of the city about, once I found out that it was owned by the city, if there was a way to negotiate for it. And then this property restoration program came about. And so it's been a probably 6-month delay since I made that initial inquiry. So like the other developers who have not had the opportunity to be inside the property, we're kind of dealing with limited amount of information, but we do have a contractor. He has submitted a budget for repairing the property. It's slightly more than I'd hoped it would be, but it's within the tolerance that I can deal with. Now, there's also, and you know, for all intents and purposes, we're tearing it down and rebuilding it. So there's no way to really rehab much of it. We wanted to keep the foundation, the infrastructure, so that when we replaced the electrical and the plumbing and so forth, we were dealing with what was existing and particularly the slab. So it's the area that I'm interested in. It's the process that we've been through before on numerous occasions, and I believe that we can make this work. Now, I just want to preface it with my commitment is I understand that I'm responsible to clear the title, which is fine, but my commitment to go forward is right at the edge of what is affordable, or I shouldn't exactly say affordable, what is reasonable for the area. Beyond what it was going to cost in my budget, it becomes untenable. And so the commitment that I'm willing to make to take on the project, and since everybody, it's just to clarify, it's 7454 Castro, not 7470. I already own 7470, so it's 2 doors down. And that's the reason I found the property in the first place. So anyway, the point that I wanted to make is that my commitment is contingent on that there's no liens on the property that I would have to assume, because that could push it over the tolerance that I can do in order to make this make sense for me. So any other questions, I'd be happy to. We have an architect. I submitted a sketch of what's there. I don't yet have the sketch of what the addition we intend to add to it. So we're going to add at least 1 more bedroom and another bathroom to the property. So it would go from a 2-1 to a 3-2 and increase in size from approximately 700 feet to about approximately 1,000 feet. And that's appropriate for the location and the lot size. Does that answer your question, or do you have others that you'd like to have me address?
No, I'm fine with that. So where the heck did I get the 7470 Castro? I don't know, but okay. So 7454 Castro is what you're discussing. And then, so basically what you're saying is you're willing to take this on, you're willing to put a budget out there for this project as long as the liens come clean. If you have liens on this home, then the cost of the liens, in addition to the budget you have set aside, will not make it a functional project for you, and you will walk away from it.
That's a possibility. I just can't commit without the
Sure.
unknowns. I mean, you have to understand that this is an investment, and I'm making an investment to help the community as well. And there's a point at which it becomes not financially feasible. And so those unknowns need to be clarified, and I will keep everybody posted as we get into the property, deal with the lien issues. I imagine it's going to take a month or 2 for all that to take place before I can give you an update.
Not a problem, and I totally appreciate your answer. The other question I have for you, you said you already have 7470 Castro and that you have a tenant in it on the Section 8 program. Is that your intention with the property as well, is to turn this into a Section 8 home?
Yes.
Okay.
That okay?
I would prefer that we start building up the neighborhood and getting a different format in there, but whatever works and makes people, I just want people to have affordable homes. So that's what works for me.
Well, my thinking here is that what I'm doing is making an affordable home for someone who is on assistance. And if
Okay.
that's not affordable, I'm not sure what is.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay, Councilwoman Robinette, then Councilwoman Noah.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. I mean, these properties are all vacant, right? Like Bailey, all of them don't have anybody currently living in them. Is that correct?
As far as I'm aware, yes. From our database, none of them have occupancy permits, so no one is living there legally. As far as someone who may be squatting in the property, I haven't inspected the properties. We have had our code enforcement officer go out and inspect all the properties, but we have not entered all of the properties at this moment. So as far as I'm aware from that, yeah.
So, and I realize that everybody who bid on these haven't seen the interior, so there's that unknown, what's facing them with the interior. I do want to say that I really want to commend all of you for putting together this pilot program. I know a lot of work has gone into this. And, like the vetting process, I hope is, we'll see results as part of this. A couple questions that I have when I read through, it's like 136 pages of a council packet. I was like, oh my God, 136 pages. I do have a couple questions. The one that part of, I think it was not Castro. Hold on. It is Mr. Wright said 237 days was what he thought it would take to bring it under, bring it up to code. And I'm wondering if, like, what was that number? That was a kind of a weird number that jumped out at me. Like almost 8 months. Is that factoring in the winter? I just want to know, because others had said, 90 to, 100 something days. So Mr. Wright, is that, I think that was Ruggles. Hold on, let me go back.
Yeah. Yes, 728 Ruggles.
Right, okay.
So my thinking on that number is I've gone through and added up the total amount of days that will take. Much of what needs to be done can happen concurrently. However, given the current COVID situation and given that we're headed into fall and winter, there are things that are going to be more difficult to accomplish. So I allotted time for that unknown. But honestly, a lot of this can be done. 90 to 120 is probably a realistic estimate, but I wanted to put additional time in there just so we're all on the same page in case of disaster, in case there is something that has come up that was unforeseen that requires fixing before everything else can be fixed. If there's termites, if there's some kind of rot on the beams of the frames, then that could extend the timeline out, and I wanted to put time in there for that.
Understood. I was just very confused about a very specific number of 237 days.
Right. And I have a bunch of I got a spreadsheet here that might not have made it into the packet, but there's a timeline in place that
that you said most pressing repairs will be in 109 days. So, okay. So thank you. Thank you for that explanation. Again, like we have people willing to go out on a limb to fix up properties that we were going to tear down. So I really want to thank everybody who applied and was awarded properties, or like we're awarding these to see how this goes. I think this is going to be a very good learning experience for Ferguson. And I think that actually this is how it should be done all over the place, right? Like this is a great program. And I hope that that we're able to turn these around and make these happen. And I wish the best of luck to all of you. That's I have high hopes for all of you. That's all I have.
Councilwoman Noah, and then Councilwoman Burrow has her hand up.
Yes, I would like to thank the developers, for your interest in Ferguson. My question is, it's a lot of paperwork. I want to thank Bailey and Elliot as well. So maybe I overlooked it. Two of the developers have already explained, what they're planning to do with the property. So thank you. But for the other developers, are you all planning to sell or rent the homes, and if, or sell, and if the homes don't sell in a certain timeline, then go ahead and rent? And are you going to Section 8 the properties as well if you can't get a market rate renter? To the other developers who have not spoken.
So thank you, Councilwoman Noah, for your question. I think I'll answer that. As far as the applications that were received, all of them, I believe, intend to rent them out. And I believe this is on the applications as well. So, but I believe their intention is to rent them, except for Mr. Oscar Wright and Milton Shetler. Those two are planning on owning and occupying the two properties respectively. So, but if anyone has anything to the contrary, please speak up, any of the developers.
Yeah, are they going to be rented like market rate or Section 8?
Oh yeah, I believe they would be market rate for all the other developers other than Mr. Christopher. And again, if any of the developers are, if I'm speaking incorrectly, please correct me.
So going off what Councilwoman Noah is saying, which I appreciate her comment tremendously. So Mr. Plummer, Mr. JD Fine, and Mr. Clark, can you answer her question directly between market rate or Section 8?
Okay, I'll jump in first. JD Fine. Sorry, my name shows up there as Alicia, my wife, because I said, honey, I need you to hook this up for me. And so it's under there as Alicia at Markerman, but I'm JD Fine. Just answering a couple of the questions that were thrown out. I have a couple $100,000 sitting, looking to do something with it. So funds available, not loans, just money, cash out of the pocket for whatever it decides to give to me or take to me. I do plan on renting the house out. I have done similar projects with over 60 houses in the area being Ferguson, Jennings, Northwoods in North County. I currently own and rent 24 houses, all of which were projects to one degree or another that I took over and developed into tax-paying properties to make them a profitable part of the community. So definitely not looking to sell, looking to rent it. And I do not have any tenants, if this answers your question, that are Section 8.
Well, I mean, it does, but it doesn't. If you're saying that you're not going to Section 8 and it's going to be market rate.
Correct.
That's, okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Borough.
Thank you. Excuse me, several questions that I had have been answered so far. The other two gentlemen did not answer the question that Mr. Fine had. So if they want to answer now, I'm willing to hear the answer to the same question.
My name's John Clark with New Concept Construction, and all of my properties will be market rate as well. I do developments in Moline, I got one in Hazelwood, and a few down in the city, bunch of 4-family flats. I do development on properties most of the time. It's how I keep my crew busy during the winter. And also they all will be market rate. I'm trying to get tenants that have pride in their community instead of just coming in just to stay for a while and go and don't vote. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Thank you.
That's commendable. Thank you very much. Is the other gentleman wanting to answer the question as well?
I believe that's Mike Palmer. Mike? There?
Yeah, I had my hand up. I was just waiting to be called on. All the properties I currently own are market rate properties other than 2, which are Section 8 properties, which I acquired with those tenants in them in package deals. My intention is, if I'm awarded these 4, is to make them also market rate, but I am considering selling 900 Forestwood depending on how much I have into the property once it's complete.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my hand is up. Mainly, I did this last week in the work session. I just applaud the city, Ferguson, for stepping up and finally getting this into the process. And Bailey, I can't say enough about how much you have done and answered all my questions every time. I just appreciate that Matt did some work on this as well. So we want to commend him. And Elliot, thanks for making it all come together. The one thing that I think is happening here is that in the meeting last week, I got the feeling that there was not at all any concept that all is equal. And so that was my spidey sense. So I just want to make sure that I have no problem with anybody making a profit. I just acquired some property here in Ferguson. And so I applaud the gentleman that said he doesn't want to rent to people that's just coming to stay for a minute and on their way out. I know for sure Mike Palmer, with all the property that I know that he has, is in that same mindset. So I appreciate all of you who have stepped up and came to the consensus that this is something that you want to do. I appreciate you all for doing that. I still have some problems with the Castro property. I want to see how that comes out. I have a problem with somebody that wants to put that extra time in and hold it as a safety net. If we're not giving everybody that same amount of time, Bailey, I think we might want to take a look at that. Just so in case something happened, that's life. But we don't want somebody to go way out then and have it on record. Oh, I got 2 more months that I can do this with. We need to rein that in. And so that's my opinion. But so far, so good. I think it's looking good. And I appreciate everybody involved. The paperwork is a nightmare. And as far as the Section 8, we're all wanting some affordable housing, but also I understand entrepreneurs. And I understand that you're here, and even if you want to make it your dwelling, your personal dwelling, I understand that if that's what you want to do with your money, that's what you need to do. So thank you all for that. Thank you for allowing me the time.
Thank you. We have someone on an iPhone with their hand up.
Yes, this is Marlene Turner Clark. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm at 1510 Nesbitt. I'm sorry, I'm just now getting on, and I want to ask a few questions. And the questions was pertaining to the properties that you guys were discussing. I'm sorry I'm late, but I had someone here at my home. So
Ma'am,
What we're
Ma'am?
going to ask you to do is get in touch with Bailey Mitchell tomorrow and ask your questions. Right now, it's time for the council to talk directly to the developers.
Okay.
We're more than happy to take questions from residents, but we're going to ask you to direct your questions to Bailey Mitchell tomorrow.
Okay. All right then. Thank you.
Any other council member? Okay, Bailey?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to clarify one thing with Councilwoman Burrow's comment on the timeline. In the redevelopment agreements, we are going to put in a timeline of 6 months for the construction. And there's always going to be room for any, surprises like COVID, for example, or a tornado coming through, things like that. So with Mr. Wright's timeline, I think that what he provided to us and what he said to the council tonight, and in terms of his timeline, I think that he's more than capable of doing the 6 months, obviously without any unforeseen issues. And again, that will be worked into our agreement. So
I appreciate that, Billy. Thank you.
no problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bailey. We appreciate all the hard work that you put into this program along with Elliot. The next item on our agenda is a public hearing. Planning and Director Elliot, would you please introduce the public hearing?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. First of all, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we have two hearings tonight. We'll start with the first, and that is a special use permit to operate an eyelash studio located at 9191 West Florist Road, which is currently zoned SG South Gateway. The applicant is here tonight on the call and available to answer your questions. As always, I'll give my presentation first, and I'm available for your questions, and then we can open the floor to the applicant as well. The applicant contacted the city in April about opening this business in this location. Based on an initial reading of the use matrix in the user's guide to the new West Florissant zoning code under which this is regulated, we determined this was an allowed use. The applicant was heard, her special use permit application was heard and approved by the Plan Commission in May of this year. Subsequent to that, we determined that interpretation was incorrect, as personal care services, which eyelash extension falls under, does have a numerical limitation. When this error was discovered, we brought it back to Plan Commission for a rehearing on June 16. And they again recommended approval pending review and affirmation by the West Florissant Corridor Advisory Board. As you may recall, any use that potentially is in violation of the zoning can trigger a review or a hearing determination of default by the advisory board. And so we decided to bring this to them. This is one of the first cases they actually reviewed. And on August 2nd, the advisory board voted to recommend approval of this request. That was a unanimous vote. Plan Commission then met again and voted in favor of this on August 18th. And we now bring it to you. The key question that permeated this whole discussion of the use was whether or not different types of personal care services, meaning nail salons, hair salons, eyelash, whatever, in one building or property are all considered the same under one umbrella for numerical limitation, or whether each subclass has its own limitation. So whether or not you could have one nail salon or hair salon or eyelash extension or one of each.
Or one of each. What do you mean? Isn't that the same thing of what you just said?
No. So you could, the question was, could you have one of each in one district, or could you have only one because they were all considered the same thing? So your personal care services, which nail salons, eyelash extension, hair barbershops are all fall under that umbrella, but barbershop and nail salon are called out. So the question becomes, can you have one of each or just one in the district? Do you see the difference?
I do. So my question, can I ask you a question on that premise? Or do you want me to wait? I'll wait.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because some of it might be answered, and if not, I'll be happy to take it at that point. The building currently houses the following businesses of this type: a barbershop, Crystal Nails, which does nails, facials, and eyelash extensions, and a place called DAPA Hair Braiding. Now, the advisory board determined that this use was distinctly separate from what is existing, and therefore did not constitute a violation of the numerical limit. And the following reasons, and this was discussed with counsel as well, counsel with an S, not with a C. Number one, Crystal Nails, that does eyelash extensions already, has no dedicated staff for this aspect of their business, and they take walk-in traffic, and the applicant does not. And she has her own dedicated clientele. So she's more of like a professional. I'm not sure how to describe it, but she takes clients by appointment, as opposed to you could just walk in and sign a sheet and say, okay, in an hour you do my nails or hair or whatever. And based on those factors, and we had several of my counterparts at the advisory board who were in agreement on this and spoke to this issue, that this is a separate type of business and therefore falls under a separate category and should therefore not be considered as the same business as the others, and therefore, and I know it's going a long way, but bear with me, doesn't fall under the existing numerical limitation, and would be allowed, and would, once, if approved, would then fall under its own numerical limitation class. And that's my presentation.
Okay. You said you wanted the owner to speak?
Well, the business owner is here, and it's up to the council if they're their pleasure.
Okay. I saw Councilwoman Robinette and then Councilwoman Lipka.
So I did see in the notes that the Plan Commission voted in favor of the approval. So it was like vetted that this was different enough to require a special use. I guess my question is, the West Florissant Corridor Advisory Board also voted on it, but
Yes.
it's a South Florissant location. So why did they vote on that?
It's West Florissant, not South Florissant. If there is a South, if South is in there, that's a misprint.
Okay. Then that needs to be changed. Okay, so the West Florissant board and the Plan Commission both agreed unanimously to approve this. I don't have a problem with it. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilwoman Lipka?
Thank you. So just out of curiosity, who sits, do you know offhand who sits on the West Florissant Advisory Board?
I don't have all their names. I can tell you who's from here. They're from Ferguson.
Sure.
Alan Mueller and Adrian Shropshire and Chairman Knowles of the Plan Commission.
Okay.
And Chairman Knowles' counterparts from Delwood and Jennings also serve on the commission, the board, plus 2 other members at large from each community.
Okay. Well, I will say, you know, doing my homework and everything, without all the knowledge you gave us just now tonight, everything I had up to the point that it went to the West Florissant Advisory Board, I had nothing after that. So that being said, I was of the mindset that I didn't think it was necessary to have an eyelash studio next to a nail studio that does eyelashes, but the way you have described it and the conversation that has been had with the West Florissant Advisory Board and so forth, I totally agree. I've completely changed my mind. I am on board with this. And, you know, I would liken this to the fact that, and it's a conversation I actually had with Councilwoman Burrow today. I would liken it to the situation where you see, for instance, in Maplewood, when you walk down the main street in Maplewood, you will see 7 restaurants side by side. But you see 7 different types of food. So it's kind of the same scenario that we're talking about here. These may all be personal care services, but they're different types of personal care services. So you're not going to lessen the appeal and the money spent and the attractiveness of these businesses because the guy who's pulling up for the barbershop is not the guy coming up to get an eyelash extension. So, you know, I appreciate your explanation, and I wish the business owner good luck. And if the business owner would like to tell us a little bit more about their vision, I would love to hear that.
Okay, we'll let Councilwoman Burrows speak and then we'll hear from the business owner.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to know. I wanted to hear from the business owner. And Elliot, I just want to tell you, thank you for the explanation, because without that, I didn't want to go ahead with this. So thank you for the explanation. And can we have a sidebar in regards to this? Because if we had this explanation, that would have saved me on time this week. That's for you, Elliot.
If I could just point out that on the memorandum, while it was in text form and not in bullet point form, this information was largely reported out.
I don't think that it was. I think another thing was the South and the West quarters was a complicated matter for me, but I think that if it had been reported out, and are you telling me that it was there to be read and understood? Is that what you just said?
I believe, yes.
Okay, if that were the case, I wouldn't have had to ask the question.
Right, it wasn't to the extent that you just did it, but thank you for doing it.
Well, and let me just say then that the memorandums can be adjusted. I mean, they're not locked in stone, so okay. I will make it more clear, and my apologies for not having done so.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Will the owner wish to speak?
Yes, my name is Marissa Ross. I am an eyelash extension technician. I have been owning my business for the past 4 years, and I currently operate in a studio downtown St. Louis. I'm wanting to move my studio to Ferguson, mainly because it's closer to my home, which I live in Jennings, and closer to my clients' homes who all stay in North County. I do work off of a book in advance schedule, so I won't have any walk-in clients or anyone just trying to pop in to get my services completed. It will be all on a scheduled basis.
Well, welcome to the community and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Clerk Pittman, do we have anyone who has submitted a comment and would like to speak at this time?
I do not.
Okay, well,
I would just like to ask that bill number 7211 be corrected because it says 9191 South Florissant Road in the bill. Change it to West.
okay.
All right, John.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you make the notation, Clerk Pittman?
Yes, when we actually get to that bill, we'll do a motion to amend it.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're closing the first public hearing. Elliot, the second public hearing.
Yes, Madam Mayor. This one is also a special use hearing. This is if you'll forgive the expression, a special case. This is Aaron's Inc. wanting to get a special use permit for their permanent location at 10740 West Florissant. And they are also on the call and available to answer your questions. And there will be one point where I will ask them to speak. They just very briefly go through the history of this. Some of it will be familiar. The applicant contacted the city in January of this year, having been given 30 days to vacate their existing space at 199 North Florissant after 15 years. Based on the review of the code, that we determined that this use was not specifically allowed by right, but we also did not want to summarily give the boot to an existing business from the city that had been there for so long. The code allows the staff to bring forward similar or identical uses for consideration. And so we first brought this project to the city as a temporary special use permit for 12 months in the space at 10831 West Florissant, so that they would have a reasonable time to either get permanent space in the city or have enough time to find alternate space without, having to move at the last minute. And this gave us also time to get the advisory board for the West Florissant quarter reconstituted and convene a hearing. You all approved the temporary special use permit on February 23rd. We then brought this application for a regular special use permit to the advisory board for a formal review on August 2nd. They once again voted unanimously for recommendation. Then it went back to the Plan Commission on August 18th, who also voted unanimously to recommend approval. The applicant is proposing to move into a 15,000 plus square foot space as their new permanent home. It's the former Hibachi Grill. It is not clear that they would be able to stay in Ferguson if this application were denied based on their space needs. The zoning code specifically does not allow rent-to-own stores, but it does allow electronic and appliances categories stores and furniture category stores, which the staff believe are similar enough to allow this application to be brought forward as a special use permit, not as a permanent use by right. And we feel this use can be approved for the following reasons. The use has been operating in the city for 15 years without complaint. The store employs 10 to 15 people. It's similar to the other mentioned approved uses. It would be approved as a special use, and again, not as a permanent use by right. Therefore, this will not be a permanent change to the zoning code. And the staff therefore recommends council approve this request for special use permit. And I would like the applicant to speak a little bit about the things they do for their customers. They spoke about this back in February, but just as a refresher, Mr. Ryan Duty is here, and with your permission, Mayor, I'd like to turn it over to him to speak on that point.
Please do.
Yes, thank you guys again for meeting with me, and we're super excited about coming back into the market. Aaron's, I've been with Aaron's for 18 years doing real estate. I really appreciate Elliot, the staff, and the council for helping us out. And we lost our lease at the last minute. We had an amendment half signed, and the landlord pulled the plug on us. We had to find a new home to stay in Ferguson. So we're super excited. We have 1,100 stores across the country. And I really did lobby, and this store is going to be, we selected this store as one of our larger storefronts. It's going to be 15,000 square feet. And we're looking to spend, our budget right now is between $500,000 and $550,000 for the interior work, which is a huge spend. And this will be one of our flagship stores that we're doing. We have 63 open across the country, and this should open in the first quarter of next year. It's scheduled to. If not, we'd love to open it earlier, but with permits and timing and everything else. But Aaron's is a great company. It does say rent to own, but Aaron's is we manufacture all of our own furniture that we have in our store. We offer 120 days, same as cash. Yes, it is the rent to own business, which does have a stigma to it, but Aaron's does everything they can for you to own the product, including payment holidays, holding the product till you can make it, another payment again. So it's not your old rent to own store that you think about, 25 years ago that was small inside and, it was due every week. Our payments are due every month, and we try to work with our customers the best that we can. And like I said, we're looking forward to staying in Ferguson for another 5, 10, 15 years.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Lipka?
So thank you very much, sir, for keeping Aaron Rents a viable part of our community. So thank you so much. And I'm actually in Alabama right now working on moving an elderly parent into a retirement center. Highly recommend. There's a market there for transitional furniture from somebody's home into a retirement center. Just a little FYI. Elliot, on the question of the special use permit, you're saying that this will not be allowed to be, I'm trying to clarify my thoughts here. It's a special use permit and it can't go into, what is the phrase you used, a use by
right, which means that it would, if it's a use by right, it doesn't come before the plan commission or the council. We approve it administratively.
Okay.
And what we're saying is that this is not going to be that and will never be that. It is a special use permit, so it's always going to have to be a review by the plan commission and council. So there's always going to be that control over this use.
Okay. And I guess the thing, because you were saying that the use by right in this particular location is defined by what did you say? Technology, furniture, that kind of thing. So you're saying it is or it is not in this?
No, what I'm saying is that the uses, there's a use category called electronics and appliances.
Thank you. That's
which is allowed by right. There's a use category called furniture stores, which is allowed by right. Rent-to-own stores have their separate use code, different from those two use codes. And that's a whole different conversation. So let's not go down into the weeds on that. And because of that, we determined that it was not specifically allowed by right or by SUP. And because the code is prescriptive, if it's not allowed in writing, it's prohibited. But in this case, there is language in the code that says we can bring it forward for consideration if we think it's similar. And that's what we're doing tonight.
Okay. And I have no problem with that. And I think it's extremely obvious that it's very, very similar. So not a problem on my end whatsoever. And we are, just to be very clear, we're talking about the past restaurant that was next. It's between what is now Juicy Seafood and what was Dollar General or
Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree. Okay. So we know where the location is. I know the depth of that building. You got a lot of square footage there. And the final question I have is, in the future, if Aaron Rents changes hands or the building changes hands or that kind of thing, this special use permit ends, it's nullified, it's finished when Aaron Rents is finished with it, correct?
You asked two questions, so let me answer both of them one at a time. If Aaron Rents goes away and someone else comes in like a hair salon, a 15,000 square foot hair salon, that special use permit goes away. That's one. But if Aaron's Rents sells the business to another rent-to-own store, they can apply for a transfer of special use permit just like any other SUP. Still has to go to Plan Commission, still has to come to you, but it's not a new one because you, in this scenario, you've approved it for this user.
That's what I was thinking, but I'm glad you clarified that because not only for me to hear it, but for everyone else to hear that. So thank you so much. And I am done with my questions. Mayor.
Okay. Any other questions from the council? Here now, Clerk Pittman, did anyone submit interest to make comment on this special use permit?
No, I don't have any comments.
No, hearing none at this time.
Madam Mayor, can I make one more point?
Yes.
Very briefly, and I apologize for not making it before, but if this was to be approved, between this and what's going on in Burlington, we are at this shopping district, we're very close to 100% occupancy. And I just wanted to point that out to the council that that's in the middle of COVID, we're hitting that number. And I think that's important to keep in mind.
Congrats.
Thank you, Elliot, for doing such a great job. So at this time, we will close the public comments. Moving on to our consent agenda. The city council meeting minutes, we don't have any at this time. Boards and commission meeting minutes. Ferguson's CRB meeting minutes from 6/7/2021. Plan Commission minutes 6/16/2021. I'm requesting a motion and a second to receive the minutes to be filed.
Tony Burrow, so moved.
It has been properly moved in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, so order. We have appointments tonight to the boards and commission, to the Traffic Commission. We have two, Dr. Sheila Powell Walker and Natasha Swan. Is there a motion in a second?
So moved, Mayor Jones by Linda Lipka.
Is there a second?
Naquita Noah, second.
It has been properly moved in second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. And I just want to share that everyone is doing a tremendous job getting your boards and commission filled. But we would like to make certain that all the wards are represented on the boards. So thank you.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Amelia Woods. I think I was skipped doing what Elliot was just talking about as far as the special permits.
The public hearings section?
The public hearing?
Yeah, for the public hearings.
Octavia, did you recognize the fact that we had somebody?
No, I don't have anyone. So I'm not sure what she means by she was skipped.
For Vibes Daiquiri Board, Elliot, he said that we would be a part of the meeting as well. We was a part of the list.
You needed to acquire the liquor license and you need to have the hearing before the council and you need to apply to the city clerk, as I mentioned to you, and that is not go through my department.
I did all of that, Elliot, and you told me to you gave me the Zoom information to log in to be a part of the council meeting tonight.
Well,
Miss Amelia, this is John Hampton. Can I give you a call here in just a few minutes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Elliot, do you have her number?
I'll email it to me and I'll get it to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Clerk Pittman for the annual liquor license renewal.
Mayor, can I stop you right there, please? Staying on boards and commissions. I just want to make sure I have Mike Palmer is up for renewal for FNIP, and I would like to get that approved, and it has been put in there. And then Michelle Mashmet has put in an application for FNIP, and I would like to have that approved as well.
Well, the reason why I'm only doing the two tonight is because Octavia and Chris, they need to meet on the rest of the boards and commission and whoever submitted. So that's why I only did the two tonight. And once they meet this week at the next meeting, we'll bring everything up to speed.
Well, Mayor, I appreciate that. I will say, though, that Mike Palmer is simply a reinstatement because he's already on FNIP. And you did exactly the same thing for Mr. Larry Robinette, who had the same exact dates. So I'm just asking that we do a reinstatement of Mike Palmer on FNIP in the same format as Larry Robinette.
And this is Tony, and I don't think that has anything to do with what Octavia and having to come back with what you just said. It's just an appointment from something for reinstatement. And don't forget now, Mike Palmer was before anybody when we were doing the economic development. Yeah, because you completely did not, you skipped over him totally without at all considering the fact that he was before the last person that you put in with higher recommendations and the whole 9 yards. So when you talk about get it together, if we're going to get it together, we need to stop and start over and do this thing right, because all of this, just putting it on as you grab it from like out of a grab bag, that's not professional. That's my 2 cents of it.
With your 2 cents, well, let me answer it this way. Mike Palmer's, was it in the Dropbox?
Mike Palmer is a reinstatement.
Okay.
So it doesn't require a new application. It is just a reinstatement of his position on FNIP. So, and we did exactly the same thing with Larry Robinette. So I'm just asking that we go ahead and just make a reinstatement for him to maintain on FNIP. He was willing to come off of FNIP when he thought he had a chance to be on the economic development tax. But once that was proven not to happen, then it has been requested that he just reinstate his current position on FNIP.
Okay, that's fair. Mike Palmer to be reinstated to the Ferguson Neighborhood Improvement Program. Is there a motion in a second?
So moved, Linda Lipka.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mike Palmer.
So oh, go ahead. No, say it. I just want to say, Mayor, I do have another application, but I understand.
Let me finish with him first.
Yes.
Mike Palmer has been reinstated to FNIP. Okay, who's the next one?
So my next one, I think, is what you were referring to, wanting to let Octavia and Chris compare notes and get things up to speed. That is a Michelle Mashmet for FNIP, but if you need to have that conversation, this is a brand new application. So
Right.
I understand that scenario. So I thank you for your cooperation on my first one, and I'm able to move forward on the application for the next council meeting for Miss Michelle.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Bora, your hand is still up.
This is a new hand up. I'm hoping that this council can sit down with Octavia and actually go through all of the commissions and board, because there is some problems with the way you're handling them. And we need to get that squared away before you do any others, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
What are you referring to? I'll tell you what, let's do it offline, okay?
You sure? I got it. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay, let's do it offline.
Okay. Moving on to the annual liquor license.
Okay, so the license that I'm showing are up for approval are Sam's Club, Walmart, King of Soul Cafe, Circle K, Savoy, and the Elite Market. They have all met all of the requirements and submitted all of the required documentation.
Okay, we need a motion and a second to approve the liquor license.
So moved by Linda Lipka, Ward 1.
Tony Burrow, second.
Oh, it has been properly moved and second. Are you ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. The liquor license are so ordered. Moving on to our resolutions. Resolution number 2021-24. Without objections, we're introduced by council members present. Here none. Attorney Carey, would you please read the resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2021-24. A resolution appropriating additional revenue and amending the 2021-2022 general fund budgets.
John Hampton or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mayor, at this time, I would like to call on Vita Crosswhite. She can help out with this one. Vita.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Council. This resolution is in regard to having a prosecutor attorney assistant. That position has always been part-time, but based upon the needs of courts and the court load, and also transitioning to show me courts, we now find the need to have a prosecutor assistant full-time FTE. So what we've done is take the part-time position that was in court on the court side, as well as combining that with the part-time position that's on the prosecutor assistant side, combine those to make the full-time FTE. This resolution is adding the benefit portion of that full-time FTE. So I'm adding for additional monies to add to the budget for the benefits portion. The salaries for this position were already there.
Say that again, Vita, please.
Yeah, sure. So in courts, we have a part-time court clerk position, and we have a part-time prosecutor assistant position.
So you're putting them together?
We are putting them together to make the prosecutor assistant part-time, now full-time.
And now are we still going to need that clerk position down the road, or is this going to cover everything and everything's copacetic?
Everything, it's going to cover it because the court side already has the court clerk and assistant court clerk, and they already have one part-timer already. So this was an additional part-timer that they had that had been unfilled for quite some time.
So cool. So basically you found money and you utilized it properly, and it gets us a needed position.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that's a win.
Yes. So what I'm asking for is just additional monies to add the benefits to this position. The salaries are already there. I just need money for the benefits for this person that we're going to hire.
Do we know what that dollar amount is?
And that's what's in the resolution that's before you.
Okay. And does that come out of our general
Do
funds?
you have any questions?
Yes. Hold on.
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay, so that comes out of general funds, but that's not touching our reserves, correct?
I do not believe so at this time.
Okay. That's all I needed.
If it's coming out of general funds and it's not coming out of reserves, what line item is it?
I'm pulling it up right now.
Thank you so much.
What was your question, Tony? I'm sorry.
If it's not coming out of general funds, and if it's not coming out of if it's coming out of general funds and not coming out of the reserves, then do we have a line item for it?
Yeah,
What's that account number?
it's, I submitted 2 pages. One is the memo and the other is the line items.
Yep.
So it's coming out of 11 and it's coming out of, so it's city manager budget because those positions are housed in city manager, and it's coming out of general fund and the city manager's budget.
I see that now in the resolution.
Correct. And it's listed specifically each line item. So you have a line item for work comp, group benefits. Do you see that?
Yep, social security, salary.
Oh, yes, ma'am. And then the salaries that you see there is simply taking the part-time salaries out of courts and combining them together to make up one.
Do you see that, Tony?
I don't have any paperwork with me where I am.
Okay, it's in the resolution when you have the opportunity to pull it up. It's all lined out.
Yes,
Thanks,
and
I appreciate you, Vita.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Vita.
You're welcome. I've lined it out perfectly so you can see exactly where those monies are taken from and being added to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next.
That's all we have on that
That's
resolution.
all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vita.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Vita.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Thank you, Peter. What's next? Because in this resolution, you have the plan and development line.
Elliot? Leibson?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Chief Hampton. This is in regards to boards and commissions for the Neighborhood Leadership Academy. This item had not been budgeted for the last several years because we had not received any inquiries into it. Recently, we received an inquiry from UMSL to sponsor several individuals. And by doing this, by funding this, we are helping to build the social infrastructure of the community, which is, just as important just as important a part of the critical infrastructure of the city as the physical plant. And training community leaders addresses several action items in the comp plan. So it's, basically we would have budgeted for it normally, but we didn't have people coming. So when COVID came, it went out of the budget, and now we have interest, and for the betterment of the community, we feel the need to bring it forward.
Is that resolution 2125? Because in my computer, 2125, when I open it, is actually 2126. And then when I touch on 2126 blue line, it won't open at all. So I can't see it.
Mayor, at this time, can I bring Chris Crable in on this to help explain?
Yes, go ahead.
Chris?
Yeah, no, so if the hyperlink's not working, Councilman Lipka, it might be something I'm wrong on the back end, but so the plan and development is for the 24 on the agenda, line 24, or resolution 2021-24. There is a plan and development. It's to increase $1,500, and that does belong in this resolution. It's coming out of the general fund, so it'd be a fund in the general fund, similar to what Vito was discussing earlier. But there are additional items on 2125 or 2021-25 coming from plan and development, but that is coming from the CIP budget.
Okay. Okay. At this time, I request a motion and a second for approval.
Of which-
approved.
Which resolution?
Resolution 2021-24.
Tony motioned, I second. Heather Robinette.
Okay. Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Councilwoman Noah,
You muted?
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Councilwoman Burrow,
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson.
Aye.
Resolution number 2021-24 passes. Resolution number 2021-25. Without objections, we're introduced by council members present. Hear none. Attorney Carey, could you please read the resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2021-25. A resolution appropriating additional revenue and amending the 2021-2022 capital fund improvement budget.
Mayor?
You have the floor.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor, at this time, I'd like to call on, we'll call on two people, Elliot and also Don Boyce. Elliot, if you would like to go first.
I'm sure. Okay, so this is in reference to the flood proofing, the salt shed at 901 Ferguson. As you may recall, there are two parts to this project. One is sealing the walls, and part two is installing the removable flood door in front of the building doors. We anticipated part one, which is sealing the walls, to be done by June 30. And despite being in regular communication with the contractor to keep them on task, conflicts on their end due to weather delayed the project completion until early July. I mean, we were close, but we just couldn't get it over the hump. And because of that, per Lexi, it had to be paid for out of the 2022 budget, which, I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Which was intended to be covering part two, which was the flood, installing the flood door. We now have to amend the project to cover the remainder of the flood part two contract. The overall project is not changing at all. The installation of the flood doors has been delayed because of supply delays to COVID. We are confident that everything is going to be done in a timely manner. It's just, we needed to have this budget amendment because part one just missed the cutoff.
Do you have any idea, Elliot, what they're saying to you? What are their estimated? Because I know I just got a garage doors. What am I trying to say? When they come out and give me an estimate, that's what I got an estimate done on garage doors, and apparently garage doors are almost like 6 months behind in getting in stock. So
they're saying months, not 6, but it's more than 2. So, but we are in regular communication with the contractor and with the state, SEMA, the State Emergency Management Agency. They're aware of what's going on. We're not in any danger of falling out of compliance. We just gotta wait till the metal comes in and they can fabricate them.
okay.
Okay, thank you, Elliot. Anybody else have any questions for Elliot? Okay, Don Boyce, at this time, can you please fill in council the rest of the capital lines?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Basically, all 3 items on the budget amendment for the fleet maintenance program we had to push back due to the OPW software wasn't compatible with the new software that we were converting to. We didn't find out until halfway through the process. We did find the software that was compatible, and so we just need more time to upgrade our fleet maintenance system over.
So, Mr. Boyce, how much more time, and is the only reason it's a resolution is because we moved into a new budget year?
Yes, correct.
And how much more time are we looking at on this one?
Probably about 2 months,
Okay.
just 60 days.
So we'll get a new door in the salt shed and we'll get a new software.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any more questions? If none, I'm
Excuse me.
asking for a motion.
Mayor,
I'm sorry you cannot speak at this time. I thought Elliot and Fire Chief Hampton was speaking to you.
yes, ma'am. I keep raising my hand. My chat is disabled. I don't like how I'm being handled at this moment, Mayor. I called off for this meeting. I've been waiting for this meeting for a month. I have all my paperwork.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me. At this time, Elliot and John Hampton had stated that they were going to talk with you. And can you be patient with them for them to get to you?
Yes, ma'am. All I'm saying is that I have all the documentation and I paid for everything already. I was told to attend this meeting. I called off work. I don't understand why I'm being skipped over. That's all I'm saying, Mayor. I don't understand. I have everything. I'll turn my camera on. I have everything. I was told to come to this meeting. I already paid for everything. I don't know where the confusion is. I don't know why my name wasn't on the list. I called off for this meeting, ma'am.
Could you give them another 10, 15 minutes to look into this and see what's going on?
Yes, please, ma'am. God just have to be with me, but I have to speak up for myself.
Yes,
I do understand.
I will call you as soon as I can. Elliot, why don't you get off camera and call her, please? And then I will talk to you. All right.
But sir, I don't know what Elliot's going to do. And Elliot just said he didn't have anything to. He's confused, so I don't understand how.
Yeah. So let me
there's nothing I can do. And I will call you, and I will talk to you, and I will work with you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for being patient. Elliot?
He went off camera.
Yeah, I'm going to check. Yeah, I'm going to check in on this, and I'm going to go off mic 2 for a minute.
Thank you. At this time, I'm entertain a motion in a second for approval of resolution number 2021-25.
So move, Mayor. Linda Lepka, Ward 1.
Tony Barrow, second.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilwoman Burrow,
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson,
Aye.
and Councilwoman Noah.
Aye.
Resolution number 2021-25 passes. Resolution number 2021-26. Without objection, we're introduced by council members present. Hearing no objections, Attorney Carey, could you please read the resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2021-26, a resolution selecting a contractor for the 2021 Ford Street improvements, awarding the contract to said contractor and authorizing the city manager to execute the contract on behalf of the city.
John?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this will be the resolution on the Ford Street. If Don Boyce is still with us, Don can go ahead and explain a little bit more.
Yes, so the 4th Street contract, we're asking for to grant the city manager permission, I guess, to sign the contract for Ford Street. We are milling it 2 inches and doing an overlay. We're also putting down.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, I can finish it for him. We're also going to be putting in speed humps, not speed bumps. This is going to be also fixing 2 problems. You know, we have the problem with the speeding. So we're trying to do a speed thing. And this will be also trying to become one of our model streets. So hopefully we can get this passed so we can get Ford Street done. I know it's been a problem ever since I've been acting city manager. I've had numerous calls on this street.
Chief Hampton, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
For what section of Ford, beginning and ending? The number?
Yes, ma'am. This will be
January to Wooten.
Worcester.
Wonderful.
I would just like to point out there's a typo in the resolution. I think it's under the second. It doesn't say Ford, it says 4. So just.
Mayor and Council, I'll make sure that is corrected before we, in the resolution and on the contract, if it's on the contract that way as well.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
As far as the street calming, the humps instead of the bumps, how many and what is the distance? Can we just ask that question right now? Or is that something I can wait on it? But I have a lot of people calling me, asking me. So if I can get that answer right now, I appreciate it, Chief.
Yes, ma'am. Don, are you still on?
Yes, I'm here. Mrs. Burrow, I can get you the breakdown in the morning. I can send you over.
That's perfect. No problem.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Don. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Well, we need a motion on the floor and a second to correct the word "for" in the resolution before we vote on it.
Tony Burrow, so move for the correction.
Second, Heather Robinette.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the correction here stands. Now we need a motion and a second for approval of resolution number 2021-26.
Tony Burrow, so moved.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Councilwoman Robinette,
Aye.
Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka,
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson,
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah,
Aye.
and Councilwoman Burrow.
Aye.
Resolution number 2021-26 passes. At this time, I would like to have a motion and a second to correct the word south to west and bill number 7211 before we proceed.
So moved.
Tony Burrow, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. It will be noted that south will be deleted and west will be included. Bill number 7211, without objection, we're introduced by council members present. Hear none. Attorney Carey, please read the bill by title only.
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7211, an ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit to Marissa Ross, doing business as Lot/Extensions for the purpose of operating an eyelash extension studio at 9191 West, not South Road, Suite 205, subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
Okay, John Hampton.
Yes, Mayor. I have no new findings or readings or anything on this. I believe this was already talked about earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
No
Mayor.
action is necessary for the first reading of a bill. Bill number 7212, without objections, were introduced by council members present. Hearing none, Attorney Carey, could you read the bill by title only?
Ma'am, bill number 7212, an ordinance of the city of Ferguson, Missouri, granting a special use permit to Aaron's Inc. for the purpose of operating a rent-to-own store at 10740 West Florist Road, subject to the conditions, restrictions, and requirements set forth herein.
Okay, John Hampton.
Mayor, I also don't have anything to add to this currently.
Okay, no action is necessary on the first reading of a bill. Bill number 7213, without objection, were introduced by council members present. Hearing none. Attorney Carey, could you please read the bill by title only?
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7213, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Ferguson, Missouri to execute the deed and acknowledge other documents in order for the real property to be transferred to the city for city development and or beautification.
Mayor, may I ask a question on this one?
First, I got to get to John Hampton.
Yes, Mayor, this is I will call on Elliot if Elliot's there. Elliot? Okay, he must be talking to the lady. This is going to be just getting property off post 3rd.
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. Yes, I'm sorry. And I have her on hold, so I'll be as quick as I can because I want to get back to her. Where's my presentation? All right. So this is a property that we have had this. Well, let me back up a second. This ordinance would transfer the deed to 10607 New Halls Ferry Road to the city of Ferguson from the St. Louis County trustee. What's happened is that we've had some interest in this property, and currently it has over $200,000 in taxes, past due property taxes, fines and penalties on it. It is over 4.5 acres with some areas of significant slope, and it's not a rectangular lot. And therefore, sorry, my earphone dropped. Therefore, our feeling is that because of the tax debt owed, because of the shape and layout of the property, it is not likely that development is going to happen without the city acquiring the property and thereby wiping the taxes. Now, let me add a couple of comments. First, we are not handing the property over to anyone. What is going to happen, as with the properties for property restoration, we would have an RFP process, and the people who are interested can submit a bid, as can anyone else. Also, what was the second point? I forget the second point, so I'll leave it at that. But this is a property that has some development potential, and we're going through the process, and this is the first step. And that ends my presentation.
I have a question, Mayor.
Yeah, I see a hand up. Okay.
So is this a current commercial property, or is this a vacant lot, or is this a past personal property?
It is a vacant lot. It has never been developed, at least as far back as we can tell, which goes back to 1937.
Can you give us an idea of some landmarks around it? I'm trying to envision it in my head.
Yes, the Meineke and the A1 Liquor Mart at the corner of New Halls Ferry and Old Halls Ferry.
Pretty far down.
Yeah, it goes up and behind them.
Okay. So it's pretty far down. It's almost on our line, isn't it?
It is on our line.
Okay, see? All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. At this time, no action is necessary for the first reading. We'll move on to bills requiring second reading. Bill number 7210. I'm requesting a motion and a second to read the bill a second time and place upon its passage.
Mayor Jones, I do have a recommendation for a correction.
Okay.
On the third where is.
Okay.
So the third where is says that there have been no polls taken down. There have been 4 since 2013 taken down at 235, 415, 402, and 837 South Florissant. So I'd just like that corrected.
Okay.
Mayor, we can correct that, and we can put it in if passed.
You can or cannot?
We can.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you right. I was like, huh?
Well,
I'm
I'm sorry.
We've got to make the correction first before we can pass it. Is that not correct, Octavia?
That is correct. If we're looking to include some different language in the bill that was already presented, yes, ma'am, we do have to vote to amend it before we pass it.
Right.
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept Councilwoman Robinette's changes to the bill.
Tony Burrow, a second.
It has, question. I got a question. Octavia, did you get all the information that Councilwoman Robinette has stated?
I do not have it all right now, but yes, I can get it. It's in
I'll send it to you.
Addresses are in the, okay.
Yep, I'll send it to you.
Okay, great. Are you ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The bill will stand with the necessary corrections. Pursuing that, Councilwoman Robinette will get all the information to Clerk Pittman.
Yep.
Okay, now, do we have a motion and a second to read the bill a second time and place upon its passage?
Tony Burrow, so moved.
Second, Heather Robinette.
Okay, it has been properly moved in second. Attorney Carey, could you please read the bill?
Yes, ma'am. Bill number 7210. An ordinance amending chapter 49, section 15 of the zoning code of the city ordinances of the city of Ferguson, Missouri to allow pole signs and low monument signs with conditions in downtown form-based code zoning districts.
John Hampton, you have any information to add?
Yes, ma'am. We will add the corrections necessary for this passage.
Are there any questions from council? Hear none. Clerk Pittman, could you please call the roll?
Okay, Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Councilwoman Lipka.
Aye.
Councilwoman Nelson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Noah.
Aye.
Councilwoman Burrow.
Aye.
Councilwoman Robinette.
Aye.
Bill number 7210 passes. At this time, we'll go to our unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? If none, do we have any new business? At this time, we'll move to our miscellaneous, and we will speak in the following order. Councilwoman Noor, Councilwoman Borrow, Councilwoman Robinette, Councilwoman Lipka, and Councilwoman Nelson.
Hey, just right quick. Last night, we had the opportunity to attend the St. Louis County Prosecutor's informational session, and the major case squad was there, and they just explained how the cases work. And so we found out that every Tuesday, it's free assistance to those who need it for St. Louis County criminal cases. They can go to the Florist Valley Library and get assistance from 6 until 8. I also shared that information with you all. So if we could get that shared throughout the community. And there is a first responders barbecue on September the 10th. It's going to be sponsored by the, where's my note? I'm sorry.
Greater North County Chamber.
North County Chamber. Thank you so much, Octavia. I also shared that. So it's going to be September the 10th from 11 until 2. So hopefully some of our first responders can make it. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Burrow.
You can come back to me. I'm trying to pull up on my phone. I don't have my information with me right now. I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Robinette.
So I would really like to thank Chief Hampton for being the interim city manager during this really difficult time, and having the dual role of being our COVID mascot and our COVID emperor, I think. So thank you for all that you've done. You've really done us a great service. And I welcome Eric Osterberg. I'm sorry that we don't get to do the, like as Eric Mueller, or as Mr. Mueller said, that we can't meet you on Thursday, but we'll meet you soon as a community. But we welcome you with open arms. And I have high expectations for you, and I'm ready to, roll up my sleeves and work with you. So I just appreciate that you're here in the community. And I do want to say, so my 2 youngest kids started back to school yesterday in the Ferguson Florissant School District. And I was very, it made me proud that Ferg Flor was the first St. Louis school district to mandate vaccinations, or at least weekly tests. And so if anybody has had a test, like, you'll get a vaccination, because when they try to clean out your brain through your nose, you're like, I'll get a test. I'll get the vaccination. I'll get the vaccination. So I applaud Joe Davis for what he's done, and how everybody's worked together to really keep our students safe, our staff safe, our teachers safe. This is a new year and school year, and I'm proud to be in a school district that actually cares about the families and the teachers and the staff. So thank you for all of that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Councilwoman Lipka.
Sure. So first of all, I just wanted to let everybody know that we do have Taste in Ferguson boxed again this year. We're in our 9th year, and it will be on September 12th. Due to the COVID restrictions and realities, we are going to a boxed version again. We do have also our VIP section, which we will have the ability to have up to 320 people. We have 40 10 by 10 spaces that will allow you to have up to 8 people from a household in a space. And that VIP ticket is only $70 this year. And that includes a live performance by Javier Mendoza, who is also known as Hobo Kane. He's an internationally known singer-songwriter, bilingual pop and rock star, and awesome, wonderful guy. And he has a very big following in the St. Louis area, St. Louis County area. And it also includes your box food. It includes your very own VIP section with your closest friends and family. And it also includes unlimited beer, wine, soda, and water. So it's a good time. It's your own little party pit. But you're also welcome to come through the drive-through, and we are happily put a box of food for only $35 in your car for you to take home and enjoy, with 17 different restaurants to sample from in the box. I would also like to remind you that you can get your tickets on thetasteinferguson.com. Please don't make the mistake of saying of. It is thetasteinferguson.com. One thing I would like to ask Mr. Osterberg or Chief Hampton, could we follow up on Erica Brooks' question about the grant that she referred to that had been originated by Matt Unrein, and find out if there is actually something in motion in that regard? And if so, where are we on the legalities of a public hearing? Because I do think that's, if that's out there and it's something that's gone through the cracks, we need to look into it. So if you don't mind, I'd like to make that a request. And then I'd also like to thank Alan Mueller and Proud for putting together the open house. That was really awesome. And I was really bummed out that I couldn't be there because I am out of town this week. But now that it's been postponed, I might actually get to attend it. So I'm kind of happy about that. And I want to thank Chief Hampton. Just like Heather Rabinet said, you have been beyond awesome. And you've really put up with a lot. You've really put up to yourself to the task, and you've actually made things happen. And in the short time that you've been doing this, the citizens have never been happier. And that has a direct result to you and your commitment and your dedication. And I just really, really thank you. And Eric, you got some big shoes to fill, because this guy did a lot in a very short amount of time. And we have high expectations for you. And I know you can do it, because we didn't hire you if we didn't think you could. And I will also tell the citizens, I've had a lot of citizens that come to me. Some agree with some of our council members and some disagree with our council members. My response to all of them, and my response to anybody who's listening, this is your golden opportunity. If you have lived in Ferguson and you've had long time complaints or long time concerns or pride of the city that you hold strongly to, now is the time to set an appointment with Eric Osterberg and share your thoughts with him. You have a city manager who is willing to listen. He is willing to make office hours. He is open to reading emails. This is your opportunity to share with this new city manager what your vision is for the city, outside of the mayor, outside of the council, outside of all of us. What is your vision? And what do you want this city manager to know about your city? So please take the opportunity to tell him. And one other thing, I do like the website. I think it's awesome. I will say though, I've had a complaint, well, not a complaint, but I've had a suggestion from a citizen that we need to work on the navigation within the website, because like, for instance, tonight, if she went and clicked on an agenda and it went to all the old agendas, it didn't take her to the current agenda. So we do need to beef up the navigation system. And then finally, I would like to ask in the future, Mayor, when we have a break-in, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but when we have somebody break into a meeting who has concerns and thinks that the meeting is handled a different way, I think you handled it well. You were very courteous to her, but I think we owe her an explanation, because all she was hearing from us is no. And so I would like to take this opportunity to remind people, we are not listening to you as a council or a mayor, but we have a business meeting and there are certain procedures within a business meeting. So we have to stay on task with what's on our agenda and the business at hand. So it is not, unfortunately, it is not an opportunity to introduce new business from outside sources beyond city staff. But as Mayor Jones very competently tried to get across, we are more than happy to put you in connection with the city staff that can assist you. So that is just something we need to remind our citizens of. And when that happens again, I would ask that we do that. So once again, please come to the Taste in Ferguson. And the reason we do this event is because all of the funds that are raised in honor of Samantha Lipka and Robbie McGartland go into scholarships in honor of those two kids who lost their lives in Ferguson way too early, as well as many kids, unfortunately, since their deaths, who have also lost their lives way too early. We just want to take an opportunity to bring together an event that raises funds and reinvest in our community's youth. And that's what I've been doing with this event. That's what I've been doing with my daughter's memory and my event, my trivia night beforehand, because I believe in this community's youth and I will do whatever I can. And I ask you to join me in doing whatever we can to reinvest in their futures and reinvest in what's going to bring back bountiful results to our community. And that's our kids. Thanks.
Great. Councilwoman Burrow.
I don't have my material with me, so I'm trying to recreate it. If you could make me laugh, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, we'll come back to you after Councilwoman Nelson.
I just wanted to welcome Eric Osterberg, and I look forward to working with him and especially meeting with him one-on-one just to follow up on some of his views and also let him know my views and visions that I see for Ferguson. I also want to thank Chief Hampton for all of his help and support to me being a newly elected official. I really appreciate all the help that you gave to me, Chief Hampton. I really do appreciate that. I did want to piggyback off of Councilwoman Noah regarding us being able to attend the community workshop case review class that the St. Louis County prosecuting attorney actually does once a month. And it was very informative to learn about the ins and outs of the major case squad, and with some great takeaways that we learned about homicides and other aspects of police work. So I appreciated being able to attend that. But I also wanted to share about the Ferguson Unity Weekend Backpack drive-through giveaway that was done on Sunday, the 22nd. We actually did the prep on the 21st. We had about 40 volunteers that came out, and we had a small group from Midland Bank, but the majority of the volunteers were our Ferguson residents. And I really appreciate the city of Ferguson residents coming out and helping to put together those backpacks for our Ferguson Florist School District babies. We put together 500 backpacks on Saturday at the Emerson Family YMCA from 3 to 6. We had council members and alderpersons come from other areas, from Jennings. And I appreciate Councilwoman Noah and the mayor coming in and also helping and throwing together those book bags with us, with the residents. And we were able to put together 500 backpacks. And then on Sunday, the 21st, we did our drive-through at the Emerson Family YMCA and was able to provide 500 backpacks to our area families. Anyone from North County actually could have came through and got a backpack. We also gave out 500, we had over 500 boxes of food that was given to us by the Urban League, along with 500 additional backpacks that the Urban League gave us. The city of Ferguson also provided a gallon of hand sanitizer as well as disinfectant for all of our parents that came through to get backpacks. So we had a very successful backpack drive for Ferguson, Florist, and in North County. That's all I got.
Okay. Chief McCall, do you have anything you would like to share?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Okay. Attorney Carey, do you have anything you'd like to share?
No, ma'am.
Clerk Pittman, do you have anything you would like to share at this time?
No, I do not.
Okay. Chief
Thank you.
Hampton, would you like to share at this time?
Yes, ma'am. First off, thanks for the kind words. It was fun, actually. I enjoyed myself. But I think Eric's going to do well, and I can't wait to see what happens. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, would you like to share at this time?
No, ma'am. Just thank you for the kind words as well.
Okay. Councilwoman Burrow, are you ready now?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have all my paperwork with me. I do want to just share something personal. I buried a brother-in-law last week, and in the interment, I let the family know that family that prays together stays together. And I had a nephew die this past Friday from a fall, a brain injury. And this week I've had a sister-in-law and a nephew that was put into the hospital for COVID. And they're on ventilators. And this evening, right before I came to this council meeting, my nephew called me to tell me that his mother, my sister, was put in the hospital and that she had to go into hospice and they don't expect for her to make it through the night. So I had shared with Eric last week after after I got home from the cemetery that I had some things going on. And one of the things that he said to me, he said, family is important and family is first. And I appreciate that. Same thing came from Apollo. He said, family is first. And so we have two young men at our disposal here in Ferguson that understands the importance of family. I believe that we're starting to do some things here in Ferguson that models my motto of it, working together to serve together. I just want to give out some thanks and some shout outs. Lexi worked real hard last week to get the NLAs, the Neighborhood Leadership Academy, approved for 3 of our citizens. She was headed to her vacation in Mexico, but she took the time out to communicate with 3 or 4 different council members to make sure that those 3, really was 5 people all together, was able to get to the NLA. I appreciate that. Alan and Tony and Proud worked so hard to put together a program where we thought that we could see all of our citizens together. And down to the last minute, with the numbers being too high, we have to look at safety. But they were working hand in hand and working together and doing a great job of it. I appreciate that. I called to get a report today on CRB because I knew I wouldn't be able to get to my information. And here's a brother that's about to lose his mother, and he said, I can pull something together, working together to serve together. We got a lot of people working here. Joe Davis, superintendent, asked me to be on the strategic plan that he's putting together, unsolicited. I got a call from Senator Williams this week, and he said, are you ready? So he asked me to put together a committee, and out of the citizens in Ferguson, 12 people stepped up and said yes. I couldn't even tell them how much time it was going to take, but what it involved, but they knew that it was going to involve economic development. So I've got a committee of people that's willing to work together, to serve together. We serve a great group of people, these citizens here. And got a heavy heart tonight, got a lot going on, but I appreciate Elliot for doing the best he could. I appreciate Chris. He answers all my questions. John Hampton, I tell you, you've been phenomenal. And Eric, anything I can do. I'm up late and I get up early. All you got to do is dial my number. I'm there for you. Thank you for rearranging this. I don't know how it happened, but thank you for rearranging and giving me the time to speak, because I really do want this group of people to know that I don't do this for money because we don't get paid. I do this because I love the folks that I'm serving. One of the things I've been asking for the last 4 years is that this council can be won. We're not there yet, but I believe that with the leadership that we have in Eric, Chief McCall, and Chief Hampton, I do believe that we can get there. So thank you. Have a good night.
You're welcome. And you have our deepest sympathy for the loss that you're experiencing with your family at this time. Truly. I just would like to share that on last night, we attended the Major K Squad class, and it was very informative, especially the first 4 hours. It's the more crucial one when it comes to a homicide. And just like to say to Chief McCall, the executive director of the major case squad, gave you the highest praise for the way in which you had handled these homicides out in Ferguson. So we just have a great caliber person in Chief McCall. It made us feel good last night because he was praising Chief McCall in the way in which he handled everything. So I was sitting up tall for my chief. So we do appreciate that. John Hampton, you are a Jew. You are a Jew. You stepped in and you didn't hesitate to run. And so we appreciate that. Eric, we're looking forward to having a great leadership from you. So we appreciate you, and anything that I can do as the mayor, don't hesitate to call. I just would like to shout out to Miss Justice Jordan. I met her Saturday at the Urban League back to school giveaway, and she was just volunteering, and she's just 7 years old. And she walked up to me and said, Mayor Jones, I live in your city and I miss Missouri Princess cover girl. I said, well, great. The whole city needs to hear from you. So her mom got all the information and put her on tonight. And we say, congratulations to you, Justice. We know you're going to do good in November. Just wanted to share with everyone, we all worked diligently during the 2020 census. We work with St. Louis County, we work with the North County Complete Count Committee, we work with Bailey with the Complete Count Committee. We, Councilwoman Phaedra Nelson supplied laptops, hotspots. We went to liquor stores, we went all over to get Ferguson counted. And I appreciate all the work people did for the city of Ferguson for our 2020 count.
I was just going to say, you also have council members on your board, on your council that got trained so we could help in any way possible too.
Yes, Bailey was instrumental in getting everybody trained, which is the Complete Count Committee. And we had one in Ferguson, we had one in North County, and then we had a countywide Complete Count Committee. That was the name of it, the Complete Count Committee. So people did work. We not only council members, but residents, everyone pitched in to make this happen. So when we got the numbers came out, I believe they came out August the 12th. The population census for April 1, 2010 was 21,203. The new population census numbers for April 1, 2020 is 18,527. And that is a reduction in our citizenry of 2,676. As I shared this with Chief Hampton and with Elliott, and we were talking about it, is that we know that we had a lot of vacancies in Southeast Ferguson. However, we're looking for the numbers to climb in the next couple of years. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of the 2010 census that had come out. Other than that, everyone have a great night. I am requesting a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, Mayor Linda Lipka, Ward 1.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Have a great night.